In this retirement case study, we're looking at someone age 60. They've got assets of £500,000, 400,000 in a pension, 100,000 in an ISA, no debts, they're a homeowner, full state pension. They want to know if they can retire on a decent standard of living. So the moderate standard of living is 31,300 for a single person, or 19,800 if you take off the state pension. There is a difference if there's a couple, but basically that is made up providing the other person also has a full state pension, and these numbers are stated after income tax. In retirement, you can truly live the good life if you monetize a hobby or passion, or if you live a more simple life. One approach to retirement is to have a budget and then find activities that fit that budget. The other way is to get the activities, the things you want to do, and then find ways to fund them, and that's my preferred choice. So as an example, if you enjoy sailing, you can teach others to sail and maybe niche around people your age. You can rent out your boat when you don't use it, make money that way. You can crew for other boats and reposition those boats, say between the Mediterranean and the Caribbean. You can blog or vlog about sailing and make money that way. And it's basically the most resourceful person is the winner. So we've got a lot of freedom in retirement, particularly freedom of our time, and that can be used to give us a sense of purpose or serving others. And often is a case that there's multiple lives within you. So the accountant, like myself, can become more of a teacher and an educator in retirement, and you can use things like that, the skills you've got, to generate a little bit of money on the side and give yourself a really amazing and fulfilling retirement. In the newspaper article, the retiree gave the holdings of their ISA, and there's way too many of them. They're massively underweight the US and the major trends that are going on in the world economy, so they really need to simplify their holdings. So they need to have a core holding based around the developed world, and then they can have satellite holdings looking at emerging markets, small cap, bonds, the money market, gold, certain themes like artificial intelligence. They can overweight certain sectors like healthcare and technology, or they can even maybe just ignore most of the satellite altogether and just have core developed world and then a high interest rate account for a rainy day. But what the article is missing is that the person needs to sort out their workplace pensions, because they're at risk of pension lifestyling, where their pension provider moves lots of their holdings into bonds and they get inferior rates of return. The person needs to take control of what is their money and make sure they know exactly how it is invested. I've done a video that looks at the best brokers to use, and some of them from time to time will give you cash back that makes it even greater reason why you should move your workplace pension into a personal pension under your control. So here's a snapshot of their current wealth, split between home, pension and ISA, then also their income and how that breaks down into what they spend, what they save, what goes on taxes, and they spend around 2/3 of the gross income, which is around about the £32,000. But what's missing is that they don't have any retirement goals at the moment, so they'd have a lot more purpose in retirement if they set those and then got a lot more of a reason as to why they should retire. It's important to have phases of retirement, as we can see here. So spending less money in the later stages of your life is a good way to avoid running out of money in retirement. So here's the retirement calculator showing how they can fund their retirement. So the person initially retires on about £31,000. they take from their personal pension to utilize their personal allowance. Then they've got an additional 25% tax-free on top. Then any further differences are funded from the ISA. Then the ISA happens to run out at the same time that the state pension kicks in, and then by the time the state pension kicks in with things like the triple lock, it's pretty much worth the exact same as the personal allowance. So for the rest of their lives they carry on utilizing both state and personal pensions to fund their lifestyle. This graph shows sources of income over time. In the first few years they're using ISA, they're using personal pensions and the 25% tax-free. Then when the state pension kicks in, that's also the time that the ISA runs out, and then they're relying more heavily on their personal pensions to fund them. And then in later life the income drops off because they're probably less mobile and less likely to need such a level of expenditure. So here we've got the amount of tax paid in retirement as the blue bars and the marginal tax rate as the red line. So they only ever pay the 20% tax rate. In the first few years of retirement they pay no tax because they're living off of ISA and the personal allowance, and then in later life when they reduce their expenditure then they start paying less tax. Total tax paid is around about £120,000 that they need to optimise over their retirement. And then here's another way of looking at the numbers, utilising the personal allowance and then moving into the 20% tax band, then dropping off in later life. Here's the wealth over time. It does look a bit scary because it does decline quite steeply in later life. However, they do have a home that they own without a mortgage, that they could possibly downsize or do some sort of equity release in later life if they needed to. William Sharp, an economist at Stanford University, described spending down assets in retirement as the hardest and nastiest problem in the whole of finance, because we don't know how long we'll live, we don't know what we need to buy and how much it might cost, we don't know the returns we're going to get on our investments. So that's why I use a spreadsheet to run multiple scenarios that are flexible over time. That then gives me some confidence around what's going on. I see all this as an iterative process. You work things out as you go along. You try activities and you see what suits you best. It's not black and white between paid work and no earned income in retirement. Some people retire, find their true passion and have real abundance. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel and check out this next video.